Hello and welcome along. It's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, number one tennis betting show and podcast brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. As per usual, I'm Nigel Seeley. I am over in Germany for Euro 2024 and I'm delighted today joining me is our ATP Tour handicapper. It's Sean Calvert. Sean, good morning to you.
Morning.
How are you?
Morning. You all right? I'm all right. I'm still a bit sour about Holger Rune last night. You probably best not get me started on that because I could probably do the whole show.
No, I want you to start. I want you to start on it.
No,
I was going to come on to it straight away. What? What? He just didn't. I didn't watch the match actually. To be fair, because obviously I was out and about here. Hard to get the television coverage. But what happened? What went wrong?
He just didn't show up. He turned up on court like he'd already lost. Lost the first 13 points of the match. Didn't do anything well. Even the things that he could control, which like his first serve. I think he was on about 50% first serves in. It was just awful. The tactics were awful, muddled thinking. He was trying to defend, then he went really deep. There was just nothing coming from him at all. It was really, really weak performance. As weak a performance as you can think of, that was it. I mean, you know, and Djokovic was injured again. He's got like an ab. We'll talk about it in a minute, but he was clutching his abs for much of the match. In addition to the knee problem that he's already got, and Rune was just. He was just dire. I mean, we talked about it. I think you said that this is a sort of pivotal match, really, a key match. I can't remember the exact phrase in Rune's career. And if we're going on that, forget it. I mean, it was so bad. No, I mean, I accept people getting beat by Novak Djokovic at Wimbledon. Yes, I get it, but he just didn't look like he ever, for 1 second, felt like he could win that match or be competitive, which is weird because he's played. Djokovic, he's beaten him a couple of times. Every time he's played him, he's played him tough. But I don't know whether it was just the grass or I don't know what it was. He turned up beaten and he left with barely a whimper. It was dreadful.
Yeah, I did see the result. Obviously, bet him because obviously it was our pick that we were betting Holger Rune plus 3.5 or 4.5 games now, and the handicap didn't look like winning. I did find on my phone tuning in and watching a bit of BBC, and I watched it, and I saw Rune standing so far back of the court. I'm thinking, what's he doing here? He was trying to out-hit him.
That was towards the third set.
Yeah.
He was trying to, I don't know, the first two sets, I think he was a metre behind the baseline. Djokovic was right up on the baseline, as you would expect on grass. You would expect to be just a squeak behind the baseline. Rune was about a metre behind. Then he went when he didn't do anything on the Djokovic serve, he went even further back. So he was returning in kind of Medvedev type positions. Once you do that, someone as smart as Novak Djokovic, he could just serve volley, swing it out to the forehand, and just come in, simple volley, job done. So there's extremely muddled thinking with Holger Rune. It's been going on for a while actually. It probably doesn't help that he's changed his coach numerous times, but the thinking just wasn't clear, and he didn't look like at any stage that he believed. And then I don't know whether you saw at the end, Djokovic went on a rant about the crowd.
This is the point. I was going to come on about that. I mean, that was the talking point. I didn't actually see it live, but I saw the interview, and I just can't get my head around it. I don't know what I saw. It's all over social media this morning. But what on earth's come over him there? It was clearly obvious what the crowd were doing.
Yeah, he does this all the time. He's got this thing in his head where he thinks he's not getting the credit or the recognition or the love, call it what you want, that the other top guys, I'm talking about Federer and Nadal, have had. Not just at Wimbledon, but everywhere. He thinks, and the more he does things like this, that ironically, the less likely it is for people to adore him or whatever it is that he wants. Some sort of insecurity going on there, but he knows full well that they do this Rune thing, and it's not that complicated. I mean, I presume some people did take that opportunity during that chant to sort of boo him as well, but it wasn't many. To sort of have a go at the whole crowd, and it's not a great idea, is it? It's not going to put you in the best light. I wonder what's going to happen when he comes out in the next night. It's a British crowd, though, isn't it? They're not going to do anything. But if he did that in Paris, at the French or something, he would know about it for weeks and years probably to come. Yeah. It's just a strange thing for him to do. I mean, he's done it before with these outbursts. He obviously is a bit thin-skinned about the love that he doesn't get from crowds, and the reason he doesn't get the love is because that's the sort of thing that he does. It's counterproductive for him, really. But that is what it is. That's what he's done.
I mean, when he said after, you're not going to intimidate me. I've been playing in much more intimidating places than this. This is Wimbledon Centre Court, where it's 8,000 pensioners from Godalming and Surrey and Guildford. It's not intimidating. It's not. My mother and father, 81. He's not going to go there and try and put Novak Djokovic off. He has to come over here and go down to the Irish town. That's quite intimidating when you've got 80,000 Dutch and English down. That's quite intimidating. What is he talking about?
No one was trying to intimidate him. Nobody was trying to intimidate him. No. Maybe a pocket. Maybe he's talking about a pocket of people. I don't know. Obviously, he was there. I wasn't. But maybe there was a pocket of people that were having a go at him. I don't know. It doesn't seem that likely, but I suppose it's possible. But most of the people are wearing those ridiculous hats where they've got they almost look like a cake hat, and they've got the letters of the player, Rune in this case for Rune or whatever. And these were 65, 70-year-old women. They're not
exactly.
They're not going to start, chucking knitting needles at him. But it was a weird thing to do, but that's his choice. He can do what he wants. But
he's got a history of it. He's called the guy out in New York. Was he called the guy out in New York? He's just, I just think, I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head there. He thinks he deserves the credit he's got, and as I said, it's not going to go down well. And the Wimbledon fans, all the Wimbledon people go to, they'll just cheer the underdog anyway. Because they pay money, they want to see a 5-set, 5-set or 4-set match. Doesn't matter who it is.
They were probably trying to get Rune to come out of his slump or whatever you want to call it, because he was awful, Rune. They were probably just thinking, well, this is not very entertaining. I need a Rune comeback to make this interesting, because it was painful to watch. I did suffer all of it, but I was sorely tempted to switch off after the first couple of sets. I thought I'd better stick it out just in case some miracle occurs, but. Yeah, it was an awful performance from Rune and an angry one from Novak.
Yep, we have two quarterfinals in action today. We're recording this on Tuesday afternoon, obviously a little bit later on. Hopefully one of our picks, Tommy Paul, is up against Alcaraz, can pulls the upset win there. We'll have the podcast previewing the semi-finals a bit later on, but it's this in the week. This is about tomorrow's men's quarterfinals and two quarterfinals we do have. Novak Djokovic did go through. He has that knee injury. You said it could be another problem, and he's up against Alex De Minaur. Novak Djokovic is minus 335 to win this match with Bet Rivers. Alex De Minaur is plus 250. The spread here is 5.5 with De Minaur heavy favourite minus 141. The total is total is 38.5 with minus 112 and minus 113 the over and underline. So very close on the over line, 38.5, 39.5. Now I would give Alex De Minaur a chance here, but obviously there was that. I did see the match point yesterday where he made that drop shot and he's pulled up and he's looked at his box and he thinks he's hurt himself, and all of a sudden this guy's carrying a 50-1 ticket for me and he's injured going in against Novak Djokovic, or he appeared to be injured. First of all, what do you think about what do you think about Alex De Minaur, that injury there? Do you think that's a concern, or do you think he's got time to overcome that?
We're guessing, aren't we? I mean, a couple of points, let's say a game earlier in that feast match, you'd be thinking, I would be thinking, he can give Djokovic a run for his money. But the way he came off, it was very strange, wasn't it? I think he said he did it the point before the match point. Didn't look like he'd done anything really, but with a muscle tweak, I presume it was a muscle, or I couldn't really tell what it was, ankle maybe. But he pulled up on the match point, as you said, against Feast, and then he played I think it was a volley or a half volley to win the match, and there was no celebration at all, was there? He just stood there looking face like thunder and sort of walked to the net as if he'd lost. The way that his face was, compare that with someone like Musetti, who was sank to the ground after beating Pechi Pericol the other day, or Fritz. Something you would expect. He's reached the quarterfinals of Wimbledon, and he looked like he'd lost. And then in the post match interview afterwards, he was. I mean, he's not normally the best speaker anyway, but he was very guarded, wasn't he? They asked him, and he didn't really say anything. He kind of said, "Yeah, well, I'll be all right," which is a stock response, isn't he? He's not going to say, "Well, actually, I've really knackered my ankle here, and I've got absolutely no chance against." He's not going to say that, is he? But he didn't seem happy at all. That would be a concern for him. That makes this match very difficult to bet, because Novak's got another injury now as well.
Yeah, go on. You just started. Tell us a little bit about that injury. It was holding. I didn't see the match in its entirety, but what's this injury concern now for Novak?
Well, Novak was wearing two shirts: his normal tennis shirt and what looked like a t-shirt underneath, combined with the fact that he kept sort of grabbing his stomach and a lot, during that match, and then he went off. He ran off. He asked the umpire something. We couldn't tell what it was because the TV switched away, but he was asking the umpire something. I think he was trying to ask for a bathroom break or something, and the umpire said, no, you can't have one. You got to do it during the changeover, which obviously he wasn't happy about. But at the next changeover, as soon as the game had finished, he ran off very quickly off the court, went into obviously the changing room, did something, whatever it was, we don't know, and came back. My guess would be the fact that he was wearing 2 shirts would suggest that he's got some sort of tape on the abdominal region, and he didn't want it to be seen. That's my guess. Could be wrong, but he was continually clutching the abs the whole time. So whether that was just a stomach upset, that doesn't seem likely because that you wouldn't wear 2 shirts for that. I would guess, and it is just a guess, that he's got some sort of abdominal issue because he kept holding it throughout the game. But we don't know how bad it is because Rune didn't put an ounce of pressure on him at all. And Novak did play very well, to be fair, but there was nothing coming back from the other side of the net from Holger Rune. So we're going to have to wait and see for this De Minaur match to find out how he is, because obviously there's the knee, which we haven't talked about yet. That, for me, still isn't moving 100%. And now we've got this abdominal thing as well, and we were thinking about De Minaur being injured. So this is a very difficult one to bet, to be honest.
Or it could be another Novak Djokovic complete put away, couldn't it? It could be he's got two T-shirts on to spook the market. He's got 2 T-shirts on because it's probably been cold. I've been chatting to the missus at home. Hasn't stopped raining since I left.
Well, she wasn't running around centre court, your missus, was she, for 3 hours?
Centre court is a shopping centre in Wimbledon, and she does a lot of running around centre court over there, so I'm going to show you that, but not the tennis court.
Well, that's his maybe, but I think Djokovic was... I don't know. It seems weird. Yes, he does play up on these injuries an awful lot. He makes sure that you know about them. You know, he could have been more discreet about that. He could have just gone off or said, I'm having an off-court medical timeout or something like that and dealt with it that way. But he doesn't, does he? He's constantly fiddling, pressing with himself and stretching out. And he makes sure that you know that he's injured. I think that's to take the pressure off himself, in all honesty. But yeah, we are guessing. It could be another sort of accentuation of an injury, which he does, as you say, all the time.
If you look at the odds here, Djokovic is minus 335. So that has factored in more, I think, the injury for Novak than the injury for Alex De Minaur, because Novak Djokovic you would probably expect to see Novak Djokovic probably around about minus 550, minus $6 if he, even lower if he was fit. So the market is suggesting it's Djokovic that has the more injury pressing worries than Alex De Minaur, who at minus 335. There is a load of markets on BetRivers' website. I remember these matches start. We don't know the order of play yet, but they'll probably be around about 2 o'clock lunchtime in the UK, which is 10 o'clock in the morning, 11? Yeah, it's about 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. What do you... Well, sorry, no, so it's 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. What do you... is there any angle you're looking at here, or is just one that we've got to watch him play or something like that to try to get an opinion? Because it's so hard to gauge with these prices. It
is. I mean, the other worry with De Minaur is that he's very choky still in big matches. I don't know whether you saw the Feast match yesterday, but he led by a set in 4-2, and then he just choked. There's no other way to say it. He does this all the time in big matches. 2-0 up, 4-2 up, I think he was. Stop playing. The enforced errors came in, the panic set in. You could kind of see it. The commentator, I think it was Todd Woodbridge, I think, said after the third set, and I did think this was strange at the time. He said, "I make Feast an overwhelming favourite to win this match now." I thought he's obviously not looking at the odds, because
hopefully he can get a job as an odds compiler for BetRivers. We'll be all right.
Maybe
Todd Woodbridge is a new odds compiler. That'd be great.
It may not have been him, but I think it was him. But that's what he said. I maybe look up.
How many times do commentators say that when someone goes 2 sets to one?
They don't. Well, he was 2 sets, 1 down.
When they win the set, they always use the word momentum and go on. This bloke's going to come on. Always watch those television with this sound on mute.
Yeah, well, that's obviously the best way to do it, but. Sometimes you miss little snippets like this. Sometimes they come up with some interesting information, not the mainstream ones, but guys like Todd Woodbridge, guys that have recently retired, the Kyrgioses and stuff. They do give you little snippets every now and then. But I thought that was strange to make him an overwhelming favourite at 2 sets to 1 down. But this match is about if De Minaur is fit, and if he has the courage to take it to Novak Djokovic, because Rune didn't, which was a bit of a surprise to me, in all honesty. If both of those things work out in De Minaur's favour, then I think he's got a decent chance. If you look at his grass stats this season, service points won and return points won a total of 111, which is very good. Djokovic is on 116, by the way, but he's only played 4 matches, 2 of which were absolute gimmies, the one against Rune and the one against Capriva. You know, he dropped sets against Popyrin and Fernley. But if you look at the return points won, De Minaur's winning 46% of return points on grass this summer, which is outstanding by anybody's level. He's winning almost half the return points on grass. Djokovic is winning 39%, which is roughly his average at Wimbledon. So 2 excellent returners here. There is an angle you can play. It's a risky one, but I mean, assuming that they're both fit, this match is about Djokovic's very much underrated but supremely effective serve on grass and the really awesome return game of De Minaur. I mean, Djokovic has held serve 96% of the time so far this Wimbledon and 91% of the time in his Wimbledon career, but very rarely plays tiebreaks. He only plays 0.17 tiebreaks per set at Wimbledon, which is roughly 1 every 6 sets. These two on their head-to-head, they've never played a tiebreak in the 7 sets that they've played on different surfaces, hard and clay. So given that they both return really, really well, I'm quite interested in the plus 130 that Bet Rivers are putting up here, about under half a tiebreak. I think that's probably, if I was betting on this match, I would probably take that. Having said that, it'd probably be 7-6 in the first set now. But that looks to be a decent angle, bearing in mind they play Djokovic in particular plays very, very few tiebreaks, even on grass.
Sean touched on it there. They've met 3 times previously. It's 2-1 to Novak Djokovic on their head-to-head. They met twice this year already. Once in Monte Carlo, Djokovic won 7-5, 6-4 in the clay. The United Cup at the start of the year, De Minaur won 6-4, 6-4. And the Australian Open in 2023, where Djokovic absolutely dismantled the Aussie 6-2, 6-1, 6-2. So no tie breaks would be the bet. I didn't come on to it, Sean, just the weather conditions tomorrow over in London.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a beautiful sunny day here. Over in Germany. It's going to be very hot tonight and tomorrow for the European Championship semi-finals. But what's the weather like tomorrow? And does that have an effect with the roof on? You know, does that cause any different thoughts for these matches?
I don't think the roof's going to be on. Wednesday and Thursday look fine.
Good.
It's a general forecast for London, so it's not that accurate because London's a pretty big area. But it looks to be a general sort of trend to the southeast because the weather forecast for here where I am is virtually the same. Looks fine, reasonable chance of some sun even. No rain is forecast, around 21 degrees. That's for Wednesday and Thursday. So I would suggest if that forecast is accurate, then the roof is going to be off. So they're going to be playing in actual outdoor conditions for a change.
Probably only a couple of times this tournament for some of these players to play actually with the roof off. It's going to be crazy. Remember, Bet Rivers are offering a in-play special. Bet Rivers is offering Wimbledon live bet insurance all tournament long. Each day, Bet Rivers will insure your first Wimbledon in-play bet of the day and give you up to 50% of your bet back in bonuses if your bet loses. Terms and conditions apply. So see the Bet Rivers app for full details before you bet. So it's the last chance to get that in-play live bet insurance that Bet Rivers are offering throughout the remainder of the tournament. Remember, the tournament ends on Sunday. Okay, the next match, the second quarter final of the day, is Lorenzo Musetti, surprising everyone to make his first major quarter-final at Wimbledon. It would have thought it would have been the French Open, but Musetti has got through to the Wimbledon quarter-final. The Italian tennis is on booming at the moment with all the great tennis players coming out on the men's and the women's side in Italy. He's up against Taylor Fritz, the American number 1, who's going to be very, very popular with Bet Rivers bettors. Minus 435 for Fritz, plus 310 for Musetti. The spread exactly the same as the De Minaur match, plus 5.5 for the Italian, minus 136. The 5.5 given up for Fritz is plus 106, and the total again same number, 38.5. Usually for a quarter-final and semi-finals you might expect them to be a little bit higher than that, but 38.5 is the line you want to play. Mussetti's 11-2 on grass this year. Tremendous stats. Taylor Fritz come back from 2 sets to down to overturn Zverev, and he's got a 10-1 record this year. And the pair of them have met 3 times previously, and it's Fritz who leads 2-1. They met in 2024 in Monte Carlo this year. Musetti, not surprisingly, won 6-4, 6-4. Then they've met at the Davis Cup where Fritz won. They also met at Wimbledon in 2022 where Fritz comes through comfortably 6-4, 6-4, 6-3 in round 1. But roll the clock on 2 years. Musetti's a very different player, a lot more comfortable on the grass, but a big win for Fritz. But has that taken anything out of him? I know they've got a little bit of a day to rest, but the emotional side of coming back from 2 sets to love the Zverev and the physical side as well, for a guy who's, he's a big guy, recuperation time must be quite high. That would be a little bit of a concern for me. But the opening line, the money has come for the American here.
I think he's short. I really do.
He's 6'6".
I know how big he is. He ran into me at Stuttgart last year. Nearly knocked me flying. He did apologise, though, in fairness to him. He was lucky yesterday, wasn't he? I don't know whether you saw that match, but Zverev couldn't move. He couldn't do anything. He could do something. He could serve very well, and Fritz could do nothing about it. But he came into that match, Zverev, with a torn knee capsule and a bone edema, which is, I think it's a bone marrow. It's like a swelling of the bone marrow. And he said he only played Zverev because he'd never felt this good at Wimbledon as he had this year. And he wasn't far off winning. He was 2 sets up, Zverev. Fritz had done absolutely nothing on the Zverev return. It got to 4-all in the third, and Zverev chucked in an absolute shocker, 2 double faults and 2 errors to hand Fritz the break, which he never looked like getting. And then he was basically on one leg after that. If you watch the match, it was an encapsulation of why Fritz hasn't gone on to win major titles. Well, certainly Grand Slams, because he doesn't have the variety. It's all one dimension. It reminded me a bit of that Nadal match that you talked about the other day, which we don't want to talk about again, because whenever Fritz, it was more by accident than design. Whenever he put in a short slice or a drop shot, Zverev wasn't interested. So he didn't even bother attempting to run forward to get it. Or if he did, he did like a couple of half-hearted strides and then gave up. Most players would have thought to themselves, well, this is the way to beat this guy. I know it's difficult on Zverev serve when he's banging him down, but in the neutral rallies, Fritz doesn't think about stuff like that. He's just thinking about the baseline consistency. He doesn't think, I'll just put a drop shot in here or just a short slice brings Zverev in, because that's where he can't move to. And in the end, Zverev had to sort of give it to him, really. He was playing on one leg for most of the rest of the match. So, yes, credit Fritz for coming back from 2 sets down, but he didn't, he beat a very, very below par Zverev. I talked about it before the match, didn't I? I said it was unclear how Zverev was going to be after that slip against Norrie, and he obviously was nowhere near. Going on to this match then, if you look at what Musetti's done on grass this year, as you said, very good record. Finalist at Queen's, 85% win rate. And if we compare the service hold and break totals of these two this summer, there's very little in it. 107 for Musetti, 109 for Fritz. The problem Fritz has got is he's only broken serve 12.5% of the time, this grass swing. But he's held 97% of the time. So I'm surprised this is at 38.5. I thought this would be 40 plus. Given how often Fritz holds, virtually all the time, and how very, very rarely he breaks. The slower grass, I think, will help Musetti as well. The other thing in Musetti's favour is that he's just played a huge server, about as big as he can get in Mpetshi Perricard in his most recent match yesterday. And he limited Mpetshi Perricard to winning only 67% of his first serve points. So he's neutralised and nullified Mpetshi Perricard. He's beat Perricard twice now on the grass this summer. So, it's been impressive from Musetti. I just think this will be closer, a lot closer than the last time they played at Wimbledon when Musetti was very, very new to grass. But Fritz was at 1.16 then, and now he's about 1.23. I think he should be bigger than that. The only thing I can say that's perhaps a negative in Musetti's sort of favour here, or Fritz's favour, is that Musetti's not played on the show court yet. I don't think he's ever played on a show court at Wimbledon. He certainly hasn't this year. I don't think he has in previous years either, and Fritz obviously played on centre court yesterday. That is quite an advantage because, whoever you are, your first time on centre court or number one, whichever this this match is on. It's a big thing, and it does sometimes take a player time to adjust to the very different acoustics and the different court, all this sort of stuff. So that plays in Fritz's favour, I think. But I think this is going to go long. I think you either take the overs here, or I like a lot actually, the Musetti over 18.5 player games here, plus money, plus 106 at Bet Rivers. I'd be very surprised if Fritz gets this done anything like the score the last time they played at Wimbledon.
Yeah, it was very one-sided. I did watch the first set of this match because I was out, and it was because he's a German. It was on German television, and I watched the first set of it. And as you know, I'm on Zverev. I was on Zverev for each way part, and I thought after set one, this is easy. And when I got back to the hotel, it all changed. So I was a bit in shock there. There's 46 different markets currently available on the Bet Rivers app. Head across there. They start, I'd say about 6 o'clock the order of play will start tomorrow, but I don't think these matches will start till about 9 o'clock Eastern time. We're waiting for the order of play. And I'm sure more markets will be added to Bet Rivers throughout the day if you head across to the app and see the different markets you want to get. But I do agree with Sean, 38.5 does seem a low line. And I think 38 seems a low line on De Minaur and Novak Djokovic as well. These are quarterfinals of majors, and they usually see the lines in the 40s, 41, especially in Fritz matches. We're talking about a last 16 match where the Fritz game against Zverev was 44.5. This should drop 6, which does seem to be a big number to drop. Anyway, we're just a little bit behind on the season so far. 4.53 units on Game Bet Match. A WTA show showing a 3.19 point profit for Rory, and he's got Rybakina through to the quarterfinals of the women's draw. 2-point win bet on her, so she's a heavy favourite now with Bet Rivers to win the women's title. We've had a whole host of new people subscribing to the YouTube channel, Betting Weekly Studios. Thank you very much there. We smashed through the 4,000 barrier of subscribers in just a little under a year of what we've been doing here on the standalone channel, which is an amazing achievement. So thank you very much to everybody who has subscribed and commented. And we had a lot of comments yesterday on the show, and a lot of people were asking us, why don't we do more content? Well, the big problem we have here is obviously there's a time delay between myself and Sean and where the markets are in America. And also, we've got our own busy schedules to do, but this week we've got an extra podcast. So what we'll have here on Thursday, we'll be back looking at the men's singles semi-finals for Wimbledon, so a Thursday show, and then we'll have an extra show on Saturday looking at the men's final. So pretty much every match now from now until the end of Wimbledon will be covered, and on Sunday it's a bumper edition where hopefully we can bring you 4 tournaments for next week, which is a crazy schedule because of the Olympic Games where the ATP Tour has got 4 tournaments. So lots more to come. On the Instagram account, you can follow me over here in Germany at Because We Win. I'll be heading to Dortmund tomorrow to watch England in the semi-finals against the Netherlands. And then hopefully, or we'll see how we go, I'll be getting a plane to Berlin for the final on Sunday. So the content is coming thick and fast. There's also a show previewing both European Championship semi-finals on Betting Weekly Extra Time with Jack, Steve and Dan looking at the matches, and there'll be a final show. So thank you very much for all your comments. Thank you very much for all your subscribers. Keep downloading the podcast, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match on your preferred podcast provider, and make sure you follow us across all our socials for all the best bets for myself, Sean and all the Because We Win team. Sean, thank you very much for joining us today. Just give us a recap of what the best angles are for tomorrow's quarterfinals.
Yeah, the official play I'm going to take is to back Lorenzo Musetti to win over 18.5 player games at plus 106, 2.06, that is, with Bet Rivers. The other one, more of a lean, really difficult one in this Djokovic De Minaur match with the injury situation, but I think the value there is plus 130, about under half a tie break, 2.3 in that one.
Yep, and don't forget the Bet Rivers special live bet insurance gives you up to 50% of your bet back in bonuses, and that's only going to run until the final on Sunday. But for everything now in the men's singles, we will have you covered here on Betting Weekly Studios and Betting Weekly Game Bet Match podcast. Take care, enjoy the rest of your day, and come on England tomorrow.